Peace and life, family. I hope that y'all are well. So, I am just here before you very quickly to answer a question I get quite often. And this particular question came up this morning in the Wellness Community group chat, and we've kind of like been discussing it, right? I get this question in my comments and my DMs so much. The question is it okay for white people to practice African spirituality or join and become initiated in whatever into ATRs, E5, voodoo, hoodoo, whatever, right? And these are just my thoughts, my opinions, my feelings. Before I even share how I feel, I'm going to say number one, you have the right to disagree. You have the right to disagree. You can even disagree in the comments, but be respectful and we can have respectful discord. If not, you will be deleted and blocked. That's number one. Number two, your opinion, your thoughts, your feelings are yours. I am not here to tell you what to believe or how to feel. I'm just here to share how I feel about the situation because, again, I get asked a lot, and it came up this morning in the Wellness Community group chat, and I just wanted to finally share publicly how I feel. So for everyone who wants to know, do I believe that white people should be able to practice African spirituality or join African traditional religions? My personal opinion and feelings is that is not my business. I believe that that is between them, their ancestors, and God. Okay? If they are doing something that is not for them or meant for them, they will not be spiritually access to it. They can perform it, they can do the practices, they can do whatever they want, but they will not be blessed. They will not be coveted. They will not be covered. They will not have the spiritual benefits of the spiritual practices. Understand what I'm saying? So I am not here to dictate who can and cannot practice African spirituality or join ATRs. That is between them, their ancestors, their spirit guides, and God, and they will reap the benefits or consequences of their intentions. I am all about intentions. That's with anyone who joins African spirituality or who practices African spirituality or joins ATRs. Your intentions is what will be returned unto you. Let's be clear. Now, another aspect of the question is, do we share ancestors? There was like this whole TikTok debate about do we share ancestors with white people, right? And the debate goes back and forth because, people say like, well, we are all African. White people are Africans too, and that is very true. The Pangea, we were all one, yada, yada, yada. However, we cannot negate the history and the impact that Europeans have had on the world when it comes to colonization, enslavement. And I know people are going to be in the comments like slavery started before colonization and da-da-da. There was always slaves. There has been different types of slavery, and we know that. Let's educate ourselves. Let's not be dense, okay, or lack density. Let's be informed. There are different types of slavery. We know that brutal chattel slavery started in colonization. Let's be clear about that. Now, with that being stated, yes, we can acknowledge the history that we are all one and that we all come from Africa, and all the different theories with that. However, we also have to acknowledge the history of colonization, the history of European oppression on specifically African people who are still on the continent, who were on the continent and were stolen from the continent and dispersed throughout the world. We have to acknowledge that oppression. We have to acknowledge the negative intentions that still occur against Black people, the oppression of Black people, and so on and so forth. So, with that being stated, again, I'm very big on intentions. Should white people be able to join and practice? Should they be able to participate in ceremonies and all of that? To me, it's all about what your intention is, and you will reap the benefit or the consequences of your intention. Should they have access to the information? Everyone has access to the information. This information is on YouTube. It's in books that are in bookstores and on Amazon. So we cannot control that. And I'm not big on battling over things that we cannot control. This information is put out there. And because everyone has different beliefs, on whether or not white people should be able to practice or join. We cannot control this. So to me, that debate, I'm very big on like understanding what's worth the energy and time, what is within our control and not within our control. I truly try not to debate on things that are, I'm not going to say share my opinion. I may share my opinion on it, but I try not to debate and argue about things that we cannot necessarily control ourselves or as a society. All of this information is already out there. Everyone has different feelings and beliefs. I've been to elays and I've been to ceremonies who there are people who have white people in their elay. There are white ran elays, or elays are houses. There are white ran elays. I've met white iyas and white babas, and I've met white mambos, and it's there are white people who are priests and priestesses and all that good stuff within African traditional religion. So again, that is not something that we could control. However, what I do advise is that if you are questioning whether or not you should participate or share within ceremony with someone who is white, whether or not you should support a white practitioner, my advice is trust your spirit of discernment about their intentions. A huge red flag to me, and I shared this in the group chat in the wellness community, a huge red flag to me is a white person who is trying to profit off of Black culture. Period as a whole. A white person who is trying to profit over Black culture. Religion is an aspect of culture. Culture is made up of family, language, education, economics, government, religion, right? Those are the 6 aspects of culture. I'll probably do another video on that, but those are the 6 aspects of culture. Religion is a part of culture. If you are going to profit off of Black culture, when I say Black culture, I'm speaking of ATRs and African spirituality from all throughout the diaspora and as well as on the continent. So I'm speaking about Santeria, I'm speaking about Hoodoo, I'm speaking about Voodoo, I'm speaking about Dogon, I'm speaking about Ifa, I'm speaking about all kinds of ATRs everywhere, right? When I see white people trying to sell me readings, when I see, and I'm talking about like readings that are based in African spirituality, African traditional religion, when I see them trying to sell me readings and books and have me pay to go to a ceremony, that is when I am questioning their intentions. That is a huge red flag to me when they are trying to profit off of this information, when they're selling their books. And I say that personally because the example I used, right, was Queen Afua. Queen Afua, we know, is the author of, most people know, is the author of Sacred Woman. Sacred Woman is one of the most amazing books dedicated to Black women, women of color, in healing the womb, a lot of womb work, a lot of understanding the power of divine femininity, and it's coming from a very comedic perspective, right? The thing about it was when Queen Afua, so I have an aunt who, worked with Queen Afua years ago. And the thing with Queen Afua was she worked hard to build her platform. She worked hard to get her book out to the masses, to get her book printed and published and out to the masses. Now, years later, it is praised and exalted. But in the beginning, it was so hard for her. My issue with white people profiting off of Black culture, specifically in this conversation, African spirituality and African traditional religion, is that they are using their white privilege. So they're taking this information of Black culture, they're taking this information of ATRs and African spirituality, they're receiving this information, and then they're utilizing their white privilege in order to profit off that information. It's easier for them to publish books. It's easier for them to go out there and create platforms and profit off of this information that is so kindly being shared with them. You see what I'm saying? So that is a red flag for me. When I see a white person who is practicing ATR, African spirituality, and their first go-to or even second go-to or whatever is to figure out how can they make money from this information? How can they profit off this information? Who can I sell a reading to? Let me write a book and share all this information and put it out there and make money from it. That is an issue for me. That is a red flag for me. And you'll be surprised on how many books about African spirituality, healing, ATRs, and all of that that are written by white people. I advise that before you read a book and you start taking information in and practicing information, research the authors, Google the authors. Many of the authors of some of the most recommended books in ATR and healing and herb work and African spirituality, many of the authors are white people. And if you research how they got this information, it's usually that they traveled or they read somebody else's information and they rewrote it and published it, and now everybody cherishes it. And it's like, oh, hoodoo. And this is especially with hoodoo. There are a lot of books about hoodoo written by white Southern people, or people who had like white Southern ancestors. And we already know how a lot of them got that information. Let's come on now. That's very Paula Deen. Okay, how you learn how to fry that chicken? How you learn how to make them cakes? How you learn how to make them biscuits? It came from black folks. That I ain't even gonna get into all that. But you know it. And if you don't know it, Google. Okay, but this is just my opinion on African, or excuse me, white people practicing African spirituality, African traditional religion. Again, I cannot tell them, and I am not going to tell them to not join and not practice. To me, it's all about intention. If your intentions are well, cool. If your intentions are not well, that's your business. Either way, you will reap the reward or consequences of your intentions. Now, I advise people to study under them or to go to them. My red flag is, are they trying to profit? Are they trying to sell you something? Are they trying to use this information and use black culture, use black religion in order to come up in some type of way? For me, that is an issue. For me. It was another sister in the chat who she had a good red flag. I forgot exactly what she said. Oh, but this is what she said. She said that a red flag for her is if they have this information and they're sharing this information and they're not connecting it back to Africa. So you'll see like a lot of, for example, a lot of, white practitioners will, use this information and they will say like, our ancestors taught us and they used to do this, and they leave out Africa. They leave Africa out of the conversation. They even have their own religion where Africa is left out of the conversation and black people are left out of the conversation, and they make it seem like they are the first witches. Okay, and they are the first people who, were into magic and spells and nature and using nature in order to, change or shift the manifestations of the physical, right? So for me, that is also a red flag. I agree with that sister on that. When they leave Africa and they leave black folks out of the conversation as a whole, and they basically steal the information and claim it as their own. Very similar to a lot of things. Okay, the list is too long to even name, from our art to our dances to our language to so many things that have been stolen and claimed as their own, and black people are not given credit. So that's another red flag that the sister brought up. Again, I'm not saying who can and cannot practice, but it is all about the intentions. It is all about what they're doing with this information. Are they trying to profit from this information? Are they trying to exclude black people from this information, and repurpose it and present it as their own information and their own knowledge? Like, those are all red flags. So I advise that you ask yourself, what are red flags for you? You know what I'm saying? In this conversation, I always think about Malcolm X, right? Where if you read his book, if you watch the movie, something he talked about was how, like, he was always taught within the Nation of Islam that, the white man was the devil, and then eventually he went to Mecca and he said he was praying with white people. He was sharing food and drinking from the same water bowl or water cup as white people, so he shared sacred space with white people, and that's what helped him realize that all white people are not bad. Amanda Seals posted a video, I believe it was yesterday, and she was saying there are no absolutes in this world. All black people are not bad. All black people are not good. All white people are not bad. All white people are not good. And that's why, again, I said, mind their intentions and mind your intentions. You know what I'm saying? Why are you studying under a white person? Is it just them? Do you just feel more comfortable? Are they giving you easier access to the information. A lot of times they are making the information more easily accessible. So to join a white ran Elay, you may not have to go through as many I don't want to share too much information, but you may not have to go through as much work for initiation. Sometimes all you got to do is pay the money and you are initiated. Whereas some African ran or black ran Elays, there are things you have to do before they will even take your money. There is time that you have to spend within that Elay, and things you have to study and be able to recite, and knowledge that you have to retain and be able to repeat before you are even able to begin an initiation process. You know what I'm saying? And some people don't want to wait a year. They don't want to wait 2 years. They don't want to go through their woe year. You know what I'm saying? Like they want to hurry up and get initiated. So they'll go to a white Elay where, you just got to pay the money and boom, your initiation process begins. Some of them speed up their awo time, which they don't have to spend a year or 2 years or 3 years, and there is no time extension. Again, I don't want to give too much information, but yeah, they make the process much easier. So what is your intention with studying under a white person? Like, do you genuinely feel a connection? Do you guys genuinely vibe out? Cool. Are their intentions well? You feel like their intentions are well? Cool. But are you studying under them because it's easier than going to a black person? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is your intention? And that's something I can't answer for you. That would need to be a personal question. Why are you reading a book about African spirituality, African traditional religion, that is not by a person of African descent? And again, we can go back to white people are of African descent. We all come from Africa. We can go back to that. But that's how do you feel about that? Like, that's your personal opinion, So again, this debate has been going on within the ATR community, African spirituality community, for a long time, and everybody has the right to feel how they feel. Please feel free to share your opinions in the comments, and even some of your experiences of working with white practitioners. I myself have met quite a few. I've been to ceremony with quite a few. I have some sister queens who have god sisters who are white that they practice with and that they pray with and all of that. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna end on this. One of my sister queens, this was a table topic amongst the sisters about, do you practice with white folks and how do you feel about that? And there was one sister at the table where she spoke about how some of her god sisters are white, and how she felt about that. And she said the only thing that made her comfortable is that they acknowledge the black woman first. They acknowledge that the black woman is the head and the black woman is the start, and they see the black woman as like the matriarch of their ATR that they practice and their practices, and they acknowledge that. So that's what made her comfortable, and that's her experience. You know what I'm saying? For me personally, I have what my red flags are and what makes me comfortable. And what makes me comfortable is, what are your intentions with this information? What are your intentions with practicing? What are your intentions? Red flags for me are you trying to profit from it? That's red flags for me. Like, what are you doing? For me, do what's best for you. But yeah, just wanted to answer the question publicly, finally, once and for all. If you are a white person and you're interested in African spirituality, you feel called to it, mind your intentions. What are your intentions? And what are you going to do with this information? And also just respect it. Respect the information. Respect the sacredness of the information. This is not to be showboated. That's another thing of white people who practice ATR and they try to showboat it and they use it as like an aesthetic to be the unique one of their family, to be the black sheep. Some people pride themselves, and which is okay. People pride themselves on being the black sheep of their family, and they use, ATR as an aesthetic to be the black sheep, like I'm rebelling. And if that's what your intention is, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But just really mind what your intentions are. What are you doing? What are you doing? And why are you doing it? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's how I feel. Share how you feel in the comments. Respectfully. Love y'all. Peace.